So we go on with really interesting idea about positional play, and more importantly, we go with this example play between Artur Yusupov and Grandmaster Rosenthal, where we see an example where ultimately every piece that white has is perfectly positioned, ready to challenge and do more. But apparently now the big question is how to make it stronger, how to make it, really, important. And to figure that out, obviously, we need to think of candidates. What candidates are going to be most useful to white? Now, the proper idea is to start with what is that we do not have. Personally, white is missing. He's got an excellent space. We've got a great looking rook from the d1, which looks good. And the development is amazing. But how to do it? How to move ahead and deliver more? Well, the first move that came up as an idea in this position apparently had to do with that one move of king f1. And what was so good about this is that we're not only going to get that king right into play, but we would also have that ability to line it up and move it towards e1, maybe d2 or more. A great idea to come forward with is start with a simple, easy development. And an excellent resource after king f1 was that actually, black has a number of different problems. So what he decided to do was the move of bishop to the d5, just to get that bishop a little close. It was a good move, I think. So now what do we go for right now? How to play this? Well, surely enough, right after that, white has a number of different possibilities, a number of different options. So what he decided was, let's just go for knight d2. And something really interesting at this particular moment in time is the idea that this move is just done in order to support f3 plus e5, e4. It's like f3 and e4 are actually played out just like that. You could find out that it's not going to be only about that punch, but it's also going to be about white's ability to target his knight and bring it down to c4. It can go down to the d6 square, and it can help out with the pressure and all that activity in and out of itself. It's a very important, simple sequence that takes it all up and ahead. Now, what do we do next after that? Well, the reality is that, just as soon as it's done beautifully, black is obviously, behind. So he actually played the move of knight e5 in this moment. And so after knight e5, there was f3, knight e8, e4, to drive him down and back. So this is huge. It's not just because of the activity, but also because of the limitations that it will deliver. So this move is a wonderful resource to, attack against our opponent. So like actually black played with the move of bishop to the c4. So what do we do? Positional approach often requires exchanges, shifts in the position, and that's totally alright. What you need to know too, though, is that as you go, as you make it happen, the most important thing is to simplify. And so the way to do it perfectly, I think, is knight takes to the c4, knight takes to the c4, and now you may be wondering what happens in that position. We're going to be able to do the move of bishop takes to the c4. So that was excellent. It's a great way to follow. Now what happens is that just you're finding out that after the exchange, you're gonna get that ability to line things up perfect. So after the bishop takes the c4, rook takes the c4, now white's own rook comes out to d7. See, exchanges or forcing sequences will be necessary and inevitable in a sense. So you gotta do it. It's needed. Important thing though is that so now once the rook comes out in the d7, things look perfect. And I like to admit that, with that in mind, with that in line, it's brilliant. We have that ability to attack against him. You have the activity that's so perfect and steady that none of black's pieces are actually in condition to do much or fight all that much in a given situation. So remember that the basic idea that you're having in most of these positions is just that if you can activate each and every one of your forces, you're going to be great. That's all you need to do. And so, as we have that, the activity is up there. Most of black's pieces are badly placed behind. So, that was fantastic. So what's happening out there, rook to the d7? Well, this actually is a very good idea, and then after that move, f7 is powerful, and it's weak out there. Now what happened after that? Rook d7, rook c7 happens, so he is behind, and now we have to figure out where to go next. Now I want you to think carefully. Positionally, what is the most efficient way for white to strengthen his structure and make it all better? What's the better way to turn this into a sufficient advantage? There's only one move that we can do and achieve that, actually. And that one move is rook to d1. It was terrific. What's great about that is not only the defense that we're making in this position, but we also can see that there is the attack over the d7. So in case black would exchange, we can take back with the rook takes to the d7. We've got that ability to keep it up. And that's kind of wonderful. So start with the idea of improving and making pieces better. So black plays f6. So white did the move. Rook takes to c7. Knight takes to the c7. And rook to d6 to simply exercise the tension against the b6. We've got him already covered passive. And so you played rook b8. Now what are we doing? So after rook b8, king e2, e5, white just played g3. He wanted to simply slow down. And slow down he did. That's one of the biggest things about this. That, anything you do that forces the position to change or shift is not going to do it. So the idea is that you'd always like to make your pieces just a little stronger, just a little more, relevant as it goes. And it does help out big time. Because you could see this now. The moment white plays that rook onto the d7, he's ready. He's got that opportunity to attack. He keeps black down and behind in this position. And then, it's just really wonderful. Remember that idea. The biggest thing, ultimately, has to do with improvement and preparation. Just take your pieces and make them better, one step at a time. This was a great move because you could see now that there is an f4 candidate, which looks lovely. And then we also realized that there is the idea of making moves like not only just f4, but we're also getting the chance to play for the move of pawn up to the pawn up to c4. It's an excellent candidate out there. So how does it work? Well, actually, after that, black plays a takes to the b, c takes to the b, rook c8, king d3. Rook to c6, h4, h5, and bishop c3. Black played king e8, rook b7, check, a kick here, check, king e7, b5, king to c4, bishop b4, attack, here, check, takes, and then a capture. That basically ended him. It's amazing. What you find is that we're not only having a perfect looking rook, but we also got the opportunity to think of g4. And I mean, we're able to convert this, and it always works like that. You'd always be able to convert the the position into something better. But what's beautiful about this is now when black played with the move of rook b4, white can do rook b7, king f8, and then king c3, king g8, b6, king f8, g4. That's pretty amazing. You see, the two things that I always say happen to be most important about such positions are the piece activity and the pass pawns. Now, white is getting both of those. And so, h5, h6. I think the most important thing to learn out of this whole example is that, first and foremost, the first reason why white was so successful is because if you're able to play a position, always choose the quiet approach as opposed to anything more drastic, anything more tactical, because quiet takes less risk. That's what masters often do. This is the best approach. So when studying a position, look for the theme that plays a key role there. Ask yourself, what is the key? And then basically you can choose. If you want to go fast, but usually choose the slower. The most important thing is to focus on the essential principles that will guide you instead of calculating. Like in this endgame, all white wanted to do was to take these pieces and make them get better. Even if black didn't go for that, for example, if he did play bishop to the b7, white would have taken a little bit more space. And that's actually the most valuable thing, because the intuitive choice that helps you to get more space is always better than any other analysis or bigger, deeper calculation that you end up doing. It's going to help you in the long run, and it's going to give you wonderful, just brilliant possibilities that white was able to turn into huge success as the game progressed. So something pretty amazing, pretty extraordinary from the very beginning, from the get-go of white, was just that idea that if you have a strong build-up, if you get good pieces and a solid preparation, you have to use it. And so then you can really transform this into an incredibly successful, as it happened in here, it was an incredibly large tactical advantage.